This movie consists of a group of stars like Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie. This movie is one of the most beautiful movies for the eye. Every generation, or at least 10 years, comes out with us a director who can be a milestone or at least provide a new addition to the arena, and I can say that from the year 2010 to the year 2020, one of these directors of the most distinguished was the director, Damien Chazelle. And personally, what distinguishes this director very much are the works that he writes and directs himself. He presented two great films that were nominated for an Oscar with many others, the film Whiplash and La La Land. And a third Oblivion film for me is Forest Man. The excuse in this film for Damien Chazelle is that it was not written by him. And that's why I was so excited about Babylon. Babylon is a film written and directed by Damien Chazelle, starring Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, and many actors, including the star Tobey Maguire. The story tells us certain periods of Hollywood filmmaking, specifically the period of the 20s entering the 30s. This period of time was chosen because it is the period of glory in silent filmmaking entering the period of talking filmmaking. Through this period of time, we will learn about many important factors in the history of filmmaking in Hollywood. We will learn about the mechanism of making films. We will learn about the mechanism of making stars. We will also learn about the difficult phase that Hollywood went through and the transition from silent cinema to talking cinema. This transformation that went through many dimensions and many difficulties that made it difficult for someone who is not close to Hollywood. Someone who is not a reader of Hollywood history understands the dimensions he went through. This is the overall frame of the film. Hollywood in the 20s, we entered the 30s, Hollywood in silent cinema, and entered the talking movies and all the difficulties that the stars, directors, and studios as a whole go through. But in order to present this frame and this information in a fun way, far from the documentary style, it was necessary to be in a particular story. Here, in the events of this story, we follow three people. First of all, a first-rate actor who is very popular in the period of silent cinema and plays the role of this actor, Brad Pitt. Second, an up-and-coming actor trying to make her way in Hollywood and stardom, played by this actress, Margot Robbie, and a third person behind the scenes who is not visible on the screen. No one sees or knows of the masses to make a way in this industry, like many others and thousands who try. Or maybe for a very simple reason, the difference in time and place this story and this actor and this work was presented by certain people to people in a certain period. And this is what makes us have a category called classic movies. And this is what made us have the name of modern films. And this is what makes us have a category called movies that determine the stages of time, movies valid for all times. Through this film, the cast in Hollywood highlights the stratification of rising stars, of veteran stars. The power of stars in Hollywood sometimes exceeds the power of the producers, and the strongest of all is the power of the owners of the studio. But stronger than everyone who exists within the industry is stronger than the studio, and stronger than the producers, and stronger than the actors are the investors, are the owners of money, which may not understand anything about art. And also critics and their role and outlook, whether superficial or really critical distinctive. All these themes and more. I'm sure I've forgotten many of the themes presented in this movie, and that's what makes it a 3-hour movie. The film is long. The first 2 hours passed in the film. I was so impressed, but the last hour is why I'm shooting this video now. Or maybe for a very simple reason, the difference in time and place this story and this actor and this work was presented by certain people to people in a certain period. And this is what makes us have a category called classic movies. And this is what made us have the name of modern films. And this is what makes us have a category called movies that determine the stages of time, movies valid for all times. Through this film, the cast in Hollywood highlights the stratification of rising stars, of veteran stars. The power of stars in Hollywood sometimes exceeds the power of the producers, and the strongest of all is the power of the owners of the studio. But stronger than everyone who exists within the industry is stronger than the studio, and stronger than the producers, and stronger than the actors are the investors, are the owners of money, which may not understand anything about art. And also critics and their role and outlook, whether superficial or really critical distinctive. All these themes and more. I'm sure I've forgotten many of the themes presented in this movie, and that's what makes it a 3-hour movie. The film is long. The first 2 hours passed in the film. I was so impressed. But the last hour is why I'm shooting this video now. Now let's talk about the weaknesses in the movie. The first 2 hours of the film, the word that came to my mind the most was chaos. A total chaos throughout the scenes of the film. Chaos in the transmission of scenes. Chaos in tracking the actors. Chaos in the music. Its rise, its low, and its disappearance in general on the screen. A total chaos, but a genius chaos. Personally, be a lover of cinema. The first 2 hours, I felt a great euphoria. The movie really showed me the magic of cinema in the positive way, in the negative way down to the last third. Before I reached the last third, I was enthusiastic, and I think it is clear from my words, until now, how much I love the first period and how much I see every need delivered by the director. I had a lot of talk waiting for me to go out and shoot about the movie, but the problem, it was in the last hour, and this answers me the most important defect and the biggest defect and the biggest shock. The director lost control very dramatically in the last hour. Or let's talk. It was clear to me the vision that the director was trying to convey, the messages of the themes he was trying to convey. All these things and all these ramifications could not be linked to a special watch that could not be sealed. We started to see scenes and events that have no connection with the movie. It started that great actors appear with us in scenes that had no need for me. The whole series of events became at the last hour. I may cut it completely from the movie without affecting the movie. Characters who go through pivotal events on the screen without any feedback on the viewer, or at least for me, other than many irrational decisions that I could never sympathize with, and that you as a director or you as a writer did not build well, so that I can sympathize with this decision, or at least understand in the end. The end for me was frustrating. The ending for me is also unclear. I want a door that I can interpret the messages that the directors, Damien Chazelle, are trying to convey, and we have reached a stage of great confusion. I don't know what exactly he wants to convey. On the one hand, that makes us watch the aesthetic of cinema. The evolution of cinema passes through the importance of change, the importance of accepting change. And there is something important that I also felt. The idea is sweet to implement in the first 2 hours. The last hour in Cannes is a beautiful opportunity. This general theme, everyone understands, especially that I started the movie with the two characters. They were talking to each other, how no lovers, that they want to have an impact on this life. So are these two characters really, by the end of the movie, really able to have an impact on this life? Honestly, one of the hardest things in this movie and this review is the evaluation. Because honestly, if I want to evaluate the first 2 hours, my rating will be 8 out of 10, but the bad ending and my feeling that the events were not connected well make me rate the movie 6 out of 10. The most important liquids now. Do I recommend you to watch the movie? To be honest with you, in this movie is directed to people who love cinema and everything related to cinema. If you want to watch the movie, I advise you not to focus on the last hour of the movie. No matter what happens, don't focus, just let it pass. But the first 2 hours, and as I said, is a pleasure for the human eye. As I said before, my rate of the movie is 6 out of 10. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive everything new.